Sylvia's still connecting?
She's in.
Excellent.
Oh, she's not connecting. I'm sorry.
All right. Hello, parents. Thank you for joining us this evening. We'll just wait a few minutes to allow all of the parents to join in. So give us a few minutes and I'll let you know when we're about to start.
Sorry, ladies. I just had a little bit of trouble getting in.
All right, so we're just waiting for a couple of parents to completely sign in. Our list is growing. We're up to 8 attendees, so we'll just give people a few minutes to come on board and then we'll be able to start our presentation. Just a reminder that this is being recorded, so if you miss any part of it, then or if any of your friends who might be joining in later or family members miss any part of it, we will have it recorded and shared and uploaded early next week.
He's randomly appeared. Yeah, right. No, no.
All right, just another minute, just in case there's been a bit of a blockage and people were finding it hard to get on. So we'll just wait another minute. Okay, I might make a start then, and as I said, this is being recorded. So if you have any friends or family who thought they were going to tune in tonight and they weren't able to make it, it will be recorded and shared and uploaded to School Loop next week. Parents, welcome to this evening's presentation or webinar from Dinguu Hub. Dinguu Hub, I apologize, it's Dinguu Hub. This is the last in our presentations for Meet the Teacher, and it's a spectacular group of people that I'll be introducing you to tonight. For those who don't know, I'm Anna Butler, the principal of this great school, and I'm very proud of the teachers who work within it. They do an amazing job engaging your students in learning, and Dinguu Hub is no exception to that. Behind the scenes, we have a couple of executive team members, including myself and Mrs. Dempsey and Mrs. Smith, who'll be answering questions along the way. So if you have any questions, can you please pop them into the Q&A section at the bottom of the screen? Please don't use the raise hand function because we haven't got interaction enabled, so we won't be able to hear your question. But if you write your question, then we can either address it in writing throughout the presentation, or we can do a live answer of the question when we have our Q&A section at the end. So feel free to do that. You don't have to wait till the end to put in your questions. You can put it in throughout the presentation. Without further ado, then I'll introduce you to this fabulous team. We've got Mr. Estepa, we've got Miss Cernick, we've got Miss Dunlop, we've got Miss Watson, and we've got Mr. Smith here, who will be taking you through the presentation of everything to do with Dinguu Hub. And I know that you will be well informed by the end. And if they still have questions, as I said, use the Q&A section. So handing over to Mr. Estepa, who's going to start us off this evening.
So welcome to the Dinguu Hub Meet the Teacher night, everybody.
Good evening, parents and carers. Hello, my name is Mr. Estepa, and I'm very excited to be your child's teacher this year. This is now my 6th year as a teacher, and I've taught all through stage 3 to stage 1. But this is my first year that I'm called public school, so I'm really excited. I'm really passionate about reading, writing, and love seeing students gain more knowledge and confidence with their learning. I believe this is a school where they could be achieving that. I'm also a dad of 3 girls. I love watching and following my NRL Bulldogs team. And on my weekends, I love exploring the great outdoors. I will pass you on now to Mrs. Dunlop.
Miss Watson.
Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Watson, I apologize.
It's all right. Hello, everyone. I'm Miss Watson. As you can see, I've studied a Bachelor of Arts and Master of Teaching at the Western Sydney University. My experience is K-6 through my RFF role and COVID intensive learning support program. I love reading and want the kids to love reading, and I want to help your kids achieve their learning goals. My interests include reading, and I'm a big Parramatta fan, go the Eels, and I love finding new places to explore. Now it's Miss Dunlop.
Yeah. Good evening, parents and carers. My name is Mrs. Dunlop, and I'm so excited and proud to be a Dinguu Hub teacher. I studied a Master of Teaching major in Japanese, so I'm really passionate about languages and education through literacy. This is my 7th year of teaching, and I've taught across stages 1 to 3. And I have a strong value for developing students' love of reading and writing, as well as creative arts, including visual arts and craft and dance and singing. Outside of school, I love bushwalking and trying new restaurants. And I'm a mum of 1 to my poodle, Zeus. So I'm going to pass you over to our next Dinguu Hub teacher, which is Miss Cernick.
Hi everyone, I'm Miss Cernick, and I'm very proud and excited to be part of the Dinguu Hub this year. So my education background experience includes a Master of Primary Teaching. I've had experience with different stages, varying from stages 1 to 3. My teaching passions are reading and writing, and I thoroughly enjoy seeing my students' achievement and growth as individuals within their learning journeys. In my spare time, I like going for walks, spending time with my family and friends, gardening, cooking, traveling, and spending time outdoors. Now we will hand you back to Miss Kent.
Hi, good evening. Your child may have told you that I've visited the Classroom or Learning Hub a few times this term. My role in a school, well, actually, I started teaching about 25 years ago, and like everyone else, absolutely have a passion for literacy, and I love colour and visual arts. Also, have worked in the Liverpool, Campbelltown and Southern Highlands areas. I joined Denham Court Public School this year as a learning support teacher. So this includes where I will come in to the classroom and support children who need a boost in their learning. Okay. I also enjoy being a mum to little Jimmy, pictured, and to Archie. Okay, thank you, ladies. Next. Oh, no, it's me. I am so sorry. It's been a long week. So my role as a learning support teacher, I'm so embarrassed, is to work in the classroom and to support the learning of the students with additional needs, and to identify any specific learning and support needs. It's also my role to implement, have a chat with the teachers, to plan and, you know, work out a way that we can support the teacher, the children, and the parents as well, or carers. Also to provide direct support to the students with additional learning and support needs, including direct instruction and adjusting their learning programs. And that covers the areas of social integration, language and communication, literacy and numeracy, as well as behaviour. Yep, and also to provide professional advice and assistance and mentoring to classroom teachers on how to best cater to children's needs. And that includes just having a chat around what strategies, learning teaching strategies is working for children so that they can then implement it into their teaching as well. And the same goes with assistant professional learning and classroom teachers and the school learning support officers in our school. Okay, thank you. Next.
Well, it's over back to me.
Yeah, okay.
I would like to introduce now Dinguu's Learning Hub. So I feel that our students and us as teachers are very fortunate to be teaching in a flexible learning space. So what is a flexible learning space? Well, students in Denham Court Public School have the exciting opportunity to learn in a future-focused and flexible learning space. Now, this space is very different to what many of us have been taught, the kind of learning environment we have been accustomed to. But with this particular flexible learning space, this allows your child to develop their own learning style through purposeful spaces, which encourages collaboration, communication, and creativity. These different learning spaces I'm now going to explain below along with my Dinguu Hub team. So if we just move on to the next slide, please. So let's start with the mountaintop. So I believe this is one of, they're all important spaces, but I particularly enjoy this space as it allows our entire hub to be together. This is where we start our day, where we have a morning routine and we get a chance to communicate and start the day off, realize that we're in for a very good learning day. It is a place where we get together as a whole hub when we're learning, when we're going through lessons, explicit lessons that involves the whole hub, that it could be science, maths, literacy, and so forth. It's a chance as well for us to communicate to each other any needs or any communication that needs to be brought forward. And most of all, it's a place where we can celebrate and share our learning with each other. Whenever there's achievements or victories within our classroom, we like to celebrate it in a big way. So we believe that the mountaintop is a perfect place to do that. And we'd like to pass it on to the next learning space, the watering hole.
So next we've got the watering hole, and the watering hole is where students come together in small groups to learn from each other and from peers. So this is a more informal space as opposed to the mountaintop, and it's where students can share information and make discoveries together. And this enables the students to act both as a learner and as a teacher of each other. Some examples of how this might look in the classroom is in literacy group rotations or through our project-based learning topics. Students work together to tackle a problem and to find a solution.
Next, we have the cave. So the cave learning space in our Dinguu Hub provides students with a quiet space where they are given time to think and provided with the opportunity to reflect and apply their knowledge or new learning on an individual basis. So students reflecting on their knowledge is a fundamental aspect to their learning journey, as it not only allows students to develop a clearer understanding of the content which they have learnt by re-examining it, it allows students also to ask their teachers for assistance and further clarification of the content if required. And now moving forward.
So the next space we'll talk about is the campfire. And the campfire is a space where we gather to learn from an expert. We mostly use this for literacy and numeracy, where we go into further explicit teaching of the concept that we are learning. And yeah, I think.
And finally, life. Life is a space where it encompasses the real world. We'd like to believe that anything that is learned in school, whether you're in kindergarten all the way to year 6, we want to be able to apply all the skills and knowledge that we have learned into our real world situation. And this could be as simple as having the kids being able to read signs, kids being able to communicate with you clearly, being able to go to a shop and being able to help you buy something and knowing how much something costs, and maybe use their mathematics skills to work out how much something might be. So again, life is just the transfer of information that we've learned and applying it in the real world.
So we're going to talk you through a video now of what a typical day in the Dinguu Hub looks like for your children. So when students enter the room after 8:40, they put their bag away first and they go to one of the interactive whiteboards and they tap off their name. Students then have the opportunity to select an activity they would like to join in with their peers, which can range from developmental play in our kitchen area, free drawing, or getting creative with the Lego. Once school begins, students know it's time to pack up and make their way to the mountaintop, where we come together as a whole hub and we make any announcements and we do our morning routine. So the morning routine involves discussing the date and a quick revision of previous maths and literacy concepts taught. So afterwards, we break off into our differentiated literacy groups for the morning in each teacher's campfire. This is where our phonics lessons take place. Phonics is a way of teaching children how to read and write. It helps children to hear and identify and use different sounds to distinguish one word from another. Students then move on to reading groups in their campfire, where they are involved in rotations, which consolidate learning based on what's been taught in phonics and writing and reading and handwriting lessons. For example, the other week, the students were learning the AI sound in phonics. So they worked collaboratively together to finish the racetrack with as many AI words as they could. At this time as well, students go to the reading table to read in their reading groups with the teacher. They are given reading instruction and strategies to help them improve their reading. As part of the reading session with the teacher, students also engage in word work and practice writing different words or sentences that relate to the book they're reading. After this, we all go outside as a whole hub to have crunch and sit break together. After the crunch and sit break, students go into the mountaintop for a short, sharp, modelled lesson on the focus of the day for writing. We then return to our campfires where students have guided and independent activities based on the writing focus of the day. It's now lunchtime and we have 10 minutes again to eat together all as a hub before the students go down to the playground. After lunch, we return to the mountaintop where we have our maths lesson for the morning, which is modelled by some teachers up the front before we break off into our differentiated maths groups. In our differentiated maths groups at the campfire, again, students are taking part in guided and independent activities to consolidate what they've learned in the whole group lesson at the mountaintop. So this week we've been using length to measure informally different things around the classroom. So students were using blocks, their hands and feet. Now it's recess break and students have 10 minutes again to eat all together before they go down to the playground. And of an afternoon, we have our PBL, which is project-based learning. And we've been looking at the topic, Dinguu Court is an awesome school. And students made their own markers to identify their progress throughout the unit. And we've worked together collaboratively as a hub to create this wonderful mural. So we stick together like dingoes. And earlier in the week, we had a visit from Mr. Bitcoin and Mrs. Tesla, who are from the future, who introduced to the students that they'll be writing a time capsule for the school whole time capsule project. So after PBL, we have our afternoon where we go off to where we need to go home, and that's a day in Dinguu Hub. So I'll pass on to the next person that's speaking.
So Dinguu is our stage 1 hub. Stage 1 is year 1 and year 2. Students will be taught the same syllabus and work in flexible literacy and numeracy groups at their targeted levels. Dinguu Court Public School does project-based learning, and this will include the other key learning areas of history, geography, science, creative arts, and PDHBE. Project-based learning will give students the chance to apply the skills they have learned at school to personally relevant and real life situations. During these first 6 weeks of term 1, we are focusing on how can I play a part in creating an awesome Dinguu Court Public School. And I'll pass you on to the next one.
Okay, so Library Day in the Dinguu Hub. So we did have students going to library based on their literacy groups, but we've just had to change that due to some timing arrangements. So what we're going to do is if your child is in year 1, they will be going to the library on Tuesdays. And if your child is in year 2, they'll be going to library on Wednesdays.
Okay, our sport day in our Dinguu Hub is on Tuesday. So over the course of our sports program, students will explicitly explore the fundamental movement skills needed to perform and play a range of physical activities and games. Students will participate in a warm-up activity each lesson, explicit teaching of the skill, and followed by the practicing of the skill. Students will explore each fundamental skill over a period of 2 weeks. Each week will build on the specific skill in a variety of different ways. So parents and carers, please ensure that your child wears their sports uniform every Tuesday.
In terms of how homework will look in Dinguu Hub, we've been using the homework grid the last few weeks, and very soon we'll be having the Mathletics logins go home. So Mathletics is an online workspace for the students where they will have their own specific login, and as teachers, we assign differentiated work to each student based on where their needs are and where they're working towards. And in terms of literacy and reading, we'll be using the website Wooshka, and that's very similar to Mathletics where it's differentiated and we assign the reading books based on where your child is at. And what I can also encourage is reading at home, and I'm sure all the teachers agree with me, but if your child can bring their library bag each week so they've got access to new books, and just try to get your child to read for at least 10 minutes a night, even if it's a magazine, a comic, a book, whatever you can to get them reading, and reading for 10 minutes in their head or out aloud. And that's the end of our presentation. So we can open up to Q&A. So if you have any questions or needed anything clarified, please ask away now.
I might answer the question live. Do year 1 and 2 do the same thing? Mrs. Dempsey's also, Mrs. Dempsey would like to answer it live. I'll let you go, Mrs. Dempsey.
By all means, Mrs. Butler, it's all yours. I was just clicking it so that I could respond to it.
Excellent. Well, I'm happy to do that. Yes, year 1 and 2 do learn the same thing. It's called stage 1, and all the students in year 1 and 2 actually are working in the same stage. However, because it's a learning continuum from one stage, from the beginning of the stage to the end of the stage, the learning becomes increasingly more complex as we go through the stage. And the teachers have slightly higher expectations of students as they go through that stage. But also with that, the teachers are very experienced at differentiating the curriculum. So each child gets to experience learning at their level. So whether they're in year 1 or year 2, whether they're in need of some extra assistance for learning or extension for learning, the teachers will get to know your student or have gotten to know your students, your children, and they adjust the learning to meet their needs. So each child is working at exactly the right proximity of development that they need. I can answer live the question about toilet paper. We realise that with our new school build, we're still testing out, and the students are helping with this, some of the supplies that have been provided as part of the build. We have realised that the toilet paper holders in the toilets are not really all that child friendly. So we have replaced those, and they've been replaced throughout the last week and a half. So we're gradually getting around. Our fabulous GA, Mr. Vic, is getting around to replacing all of those and putting a large toilet roll holder, one of the larger ones that you would see at supermarkets and things like that. So he's gradually going around and replacing all of those toilet roll holders to those. So the toilet rolls will be much more efficient and better from now on.
I was just going to answer the question, sorry, regarding eating lunch outside. So at the moment, because we're in the warmer months, we have been letting the children eat their crunch and sip and recess and lunch outside. But as we do get into those colder months, especially June, July, we'll make that decision then to have the children inside as it does get quite cold. But yeah, we'll keep your children in mind, of course. We won't have them out in the cold when it's freezing.
And I guess particularly adding to that, because of COVID, we're trying to get the kids out into the fresh air as much as possible too. So we've been taking them out of the classroom to eat and things like that. So as restrictions are lifting a little bit, maybe a little bit more inside eating from time to time as required. I can answer the question live about the progress report. We don't provide progress reports every term. The requirements of the Department of Education is twice a year, so once per semester. So at the end of term 2 and at the end of term 4, we'll provide a written progress report. However, in saying that, very soon when we're able to launch the LinkEd Hero platform, this will provide us opportunities to be able to share learning. So students can upload their learning goals, parents can contribute, teachers can contribute to learning goals, and you can see progress in real time for your student, for your child. So each of the children will have learning goals, and they will show there will be a visual representation of how they are achieving their learning goals, and you'll be able to see that in real time throughout the term. Should you have any questions about your child's progress, though, please don't hesitate to send an email or call the office and ask the teacher to call you back to book a time to discuss that. You don't have to wait until the end of the term or semester. In terms of academic recognition, such as DUCs and other things like that, we don't actually have that for our primary age students. Or year 6, we might look into that along the way, but as a new school, we're developing all of the systems and processes for recognising student achievement. For us, student achievement, we're trying to create more of an internalised approach for students where they will be intrinsically motivated. So that is, they will be motivated to learn because learning is great and achieving their learning goals is really important to them. So that's the focus of our wellbeing program at Denham Court, where we are focusing on teaching the kids how to celebrate their achievements in a way that doesn't require a reward or any sort of big fanfare. We do celebrate learning though. So your child will be able to show their learning to a favourite teacher, their principal, take it home to you to share, upload it to School Loop or upload it through LinkEd Hero when that's up and running. So the students students are able to get involved in choosing the type of reward that they would like for their work. There will over time be little merit cards and things like that available, but these will be totally up to the children to choose if they would like that to be their reward for their work. But as a school, we are trying to prepare kids for the real world outside of school, and we want them to be more motivated internally about their achievements rather than needing a token reward. I'll answer the question live also about when parents are allowed back on site. There'll be some correspondence coming out about that soon, but for the meantime, we are planning to have a really great celebration of learning for the end of this term. So in the last 3 weeks of term, we're going to be scheduling some after school celebrations where you can come into your child's learning hub, also visit the library, visit other areas of the school, have a bit of a tour, and then finish that in your child's learning hub, looking at the work that's been done in the classroom, getting to see a real view of their learning hub. And we know that people are really chomping at the bit to get that. We are really sorry that you've had to wait so long to be part of that in this new school. But thankfully, with the lift of restrictions, we'll be able to invite parents on site for those celebrations. I can answer the question about swimming classes throughout the school as part of the curriculum. So yes, swimming classes will be advised a little bit later in the year. We have booked in some with the local pool, I think at Macquarie Fields, some time for swimming lessons, and we've also been able to book in the swimming teachers. So there will be some correspondence coming out about that closer to the time that they're made available. Unfortunately, of course, it won't be enough for every child to take part. It will be an opt-in system, and you'll need to sign permission notes and opt in for those swimming lessons.
I've been fortunate enough to teach in a hub learning setting over the last 3 years, and I have definitely seen the benefits that it brings in that each student is being differentiated in terms of what they need to be learning, their learning goals. So it means they're having explicit one-on-one time with the teacher. So it means that we are learning as a whole hub, like we are in the mountaintop, but we're also giving the opportunity for each student to develop their own learning style, to work in a close group, in a small group with a teacher. So we can really hone in on the skill or the outcome that they need to focus on. We know exactly what the child's need is at this current moment, and where to next, and where they could go, and how we could further their learning in a particular outcome, whether it's literacy, maths, or any other KLAs that we have, which could involve science or history or sport. So, and I also believe that it benefits the students because we have, depending on the learning, the hub situation, you could have 3 to 4 teachers, and you're having 3 or 4 experts there to offer their knowledge and their experience to the students. So I believe it's an exciting new way to learn. It's I've experienced I've also taught in a situation where you're just teaching a class on your own, which also has its benefits, but I believe this is the future of learning, and I feel very fortunate to have experience in this and to continue learning, to teach in this learning hub. So I believe we're learning, and I believe your students are going to benefit from that as well. So your children, I apologize. Yeah.
I'll add to that, Mr. Stepper, in that a few parents over the different seminars or webinars, I should say, that we've provided have asked the question about any research involved in the Learning Hub. So I'm going to provide some research about that we'll get from our school's Learning Environment and Change Directorate in the department, and I will post it on School Loop or via the school website so that you can have a look at some of that research and see the benefits that have happened in schools that have organised hub learning. So hub learning is that we're we've got more than one class in a learning space, and it's a flexible learning space that allows different organisation of the space, different grouping of students, and different purposeful use of the space. So yes, there are lots of children in one hub, and for this hub they have 4 classes in one learning hub, but when you come in to visit the space you'll see it's more than big enough for those 4 classes to learn together, and there is different breakout spaces that are used for different purposes in the classrooms as well in the learning hubs. So yes, a lot of students get to learn together. We get to mix up the groups a lot so that kids can learn from each other depending on their experience, depending on their expertise, and they can draw on the different expertise of different teachers in the classroom hubs as well. So there's lots and lots of benefits, but I will share some research on that. I know lots of parents have asked for that, and I will share the research via School Loop and the school website as soon as possible. So I'll answer the question live about how many children in one hub learning. In this hub, how many students do you have?
We have 96, Anna.
96 students plus 4 teachers minimum, with also support teachers coming in there as well. So each learning hub is a big enough space for 4 classes. So it's actually quite a large space, and 96 children fit in there perfectly, and also with enough space to be able to go and use the flexible seating arrangements that you would have seen in the video that was provided. So it's more than enough space, but we can't wait to bring you in and show you that space and get your kids to talk to you about that space when they come in and proudly show you around. If for any reason your child is coming home saying they're unhappy in this space, please reach out and talk to the teachers. But in our experience, we're getting a lot of kids going home with big smiles on their faces, and I hope that's what your experience is too. Well, thank you very much, parents, for joining us this evening. Thank you, Asma, for that lovely comment. We really enjoyed sharing all of this information with you as well. I know the teachers were excited to share what they're doing with your kids because they love working with your kids every day. So thank you very much for your attendance in tonight's webinar. And if you've missed the beginning of it for any reason, or you have any friends or others who couldn't attend tonight, please let them know that the recording of this will be placed up on School Loop in the very near future. Thank you, Norfolk. I'm glad your child is happy. I'm glad, yeah, we do feel like we're working hard and doing a great job to make sure every child is known and cared for and valued in our school. All right, thanks, parents. Have a lovely evening.